Hello and welcome to the TwoFiveOh, the podcast where we ponder those flappy things the pirates have and their adherence to the known rules of aeronautics. With me as always is my co-host Douglas. How are you, Douglas?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
That's
glad
good to
that
hear.
Yeah, you can actually
We
do
have
that
this
without
exchange. You talk to me. This is
Yeah.
good.
You like don't stuff that up like I did last week. So I'm pretty proud of you.
I actually know what's coming.
Yeah, okay. If this is your first time tuning into the TwoFiveOh, we've taken a snapshot of IMDb's top 250 movies of all time as of January 2020, and we've begun watching them from number 250 through to number 1. In this podcast, we discuss our opinions, thoughts, and reactions to the movies within. Today's movie, number 249, Laputa, Castle in the Sky.
Patsu, an engineer's apprentice, finds a young girl, Sheeta, floating down from the sky wearing a glowing pendant. Together they discover both are searching for the legendary floating castle, Laputa, and vow to unravel the mystery of the luminous crystal around her neck. Their quest won't be easy, however. There are air pirates, secret agents, and astounding obstacles to keep them from the truth and from each other.
Oh.
Such intrigue.
We've got the about the director bit here, and I actually haven't watched any Ghibli films, so I'm actually going to leave that to you.
You've never... Hang on, this is your first Ghibli film?
As my first Ghibli film.
Ah! Okay. All right. This is going to be
This is
going to be a much more fun one than I previously anticipated. Great. So yeah, just a little tidbit about Miyazaki. He's one of the co-founders of Studio Ghibli, which have gone on to create a rather prolific history of animated films. Some highlights including Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo, and The Wind Rises. Howl's Moving Castle is in the top 250, I'm pretty sure. It's a fair ways up.
I think a bunch of these are.
Absolutely. There's Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro, Graveyard of the Fireflies. There's plenty of technically Hayao Miyazaki's films that scatter throughout the top 250 and Studio Ghibli films. As a result, he's, in my opinion, one of the best animated filmmakers of all time. Just the way that he can consistently capture a level of intrigue, of wonder, and creativity blows my mind. How he can just do that so recurringly, and he never, in my opinion, seems to slip. I think it's pretty phenomenal. So strap in, John. You've got some more goodies coming your way.
I'm strapped right in to this. I got the 5-point straps on my
firmly planted at the base
shitty
of his
IKEA
seat.
desk chair. I ain't going anywhere.
Take space for the whole seat, and you'll need it.
And I'll need the whole. Yeah, I won't. Sorry, I was about to explain your joke there, and that's.
Thank you for mansplaining my joke.
Yeah, you're welcome. Do you have other animated film directors that come to mind? I'm just wondering.
Wes Anderson, more or less.
Oh, yeah.
Wes Anderson does stop motion animation.
My boy Wes,
primarily.
yeah, I know about him.
He's good, again, but I think Hayao Miyazaki just captures a little bit more wonder for me, more consistently. Wes Anderson captures more kookiness.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson doesn't have any animated films in the top 250, which kind of...
He doesn't have any?
Nope. There's Fantastic Mr. Fox is the immediate one that comes to mind.
Isle of Dogs was pretty good. I watched
Isle of Dogs was phenomenal.
I watched that on a plane once. It was pretty nice.
Oh, that's a rough one to watch on a plane, actually, because that one gets pretty sad in some bits.
Yeah. It was fine.
on topic. I can't really think of anyone that matches, Miyazaki's prowess, if you will. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything in this film that struck out for you, Jonathan? Any? Actually, at the outset.
Okay.
I watched the Disney dubbed version of this film, and Jonathan watched the original subbed version of this film.
Yep.
For reasons that we will elaborate further on in the podcast. However, that's how we've been going about it, and I would also like to watch the subbed version later on in the future. So
they both have their own little benefits.
Correct. There is slight differences and caveats between both of the versions.
Not to overcomplicate it, but basically the dub, generally with things like this, the original language is a bit better. You don't have to translate it and then kind of re-perform it in a different language. But the English dub, especially the Disney dub, does have a bunch of, they're Disney as opposed to Studio Ghibli's first film where they have a lot less resources. So there is a full symphonic score as opposed to the synth score that is significantly shorter in the Japanese cut. There's also just a lot more stuff with like extras, and there's more voice actors in the
Disney dub.
In the Disney dub, so
Joe Hisaishi recommissioned all of his work and extended his originally it was only a 60-minute electronic orchestral score, and he expanded it into a 90-minute symphonic orchestral score.
We clearly looked at the same document because I was about to say that.
To appeal to American audiences a little bit more, and hey, it appealed to me. So,
so we'll talk a bit more about that later. But the dub was pretty good. I mean, the sub was pretty good. I gather the dub was also just fine.
Yep.
Don't bloody stick your nose up at it
Oh,
because
no,
you've got one or the
not.
other. Although probably if you've got like a DVD, then chances
It'll come
are it
with
supports both. Or I don't know.
Absolutely.
Does Netflix do that? I assume so.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Very pretty movie. There's, I think, obviously, like with animation and stuff, there's a lot of scope to do these like crazy shots and make things very vibrant and complex, which is a lot harder to do with this live action, especially if they're this old.
I was gonna say, with the resources that they had on,
I was gonna say we're probably
accomplished.
approaching. Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, just what Miyazaki and his team managed to accomplish for 1986. It holds up incredibly well by today's standards. You look at it and you could swear that this movie could have been released 2 years ago and I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
It is so ahead of its time.
These days, like literally in the last maybe 5 years, maybe not even that, the level of fidelity you get from computer generated graphics means that we are very much approaching very convincing, very complex stuff,
Realism.
With Star Wars, basically just adding in people who aren't there, or
the posthumous performance of Princess Leia.
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, yep.
And they also had the young versions of them in... Spoiler alert, that wasn't in any film. But yeah, I got a bit sidetracked there. Because it's animated, they have...
We're veering all over the place here.
Yeah, the world is your oyster when you have an animated film like this. So you can make some really crazy stuff. And they very much made this super cool, super interesting world with, these sweeping shots and this really complex like landscapes and stuff, which is really pretty to look at. Yes. Oh, no, okay. The first note I have is pan flutes, baby, in all caps. But after that, I have a note about the matte paintings. And there's just these constant shots throughout it that are just super pretty. Really, really cool to look at.
So a thing about Miyazaki is that he often takes a notebook out with him when he's just traveling around, as one does when you're Hayao Miyazaki. And he scribbles. He just takes little drawings or watercolorings of the world around him, and then those watercolorings are often used as a basis for the animators, and then they are used in the films. So I'm not sure if that would have been used for this film, but definitely for a lot of his later films, you'll see a lot more of those matte paintings and watercolorings and things like that.
Do I have a note for you to discuss later?
Lay it on me. Spill it onto my ears.
Later. No, I'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay. Wow, way to blue ball the audience.
It's very much a children's film, which I had zero issues with. It's very very light.
I would argue that there's still things that you can take out of it as an adult, though.
Oh,
I could
100%.
argue that there's a lot of underlying themes and things there that young adults and adults can definitely glean from the film. So,
So, I didn't...
But yeah, kids would love it. I was like, damn, if I was 10 years old, I would be soaking this shit up.
Target audience,
Absolutely, yeah.
So that was really cool. It was just very... Low effort is the wrong word, because it's still a very kind of gripping thing, very gripping film. But low stakes is also a bad term. Basically, you know, there's like violence. It's very slapstick. You're never in like, yeah. It's very
There are
comfortable.
stakes, but they don't feel like Infernal Affairs stakes.
Yeah. There's no, you know, man walks into an elevator and his head explodes. That does not happen in this film. So,
In gory detail.
yeah, exactly. So just like, yeah, it was really refreshing. I really enjoyed it for
It's
that.
a very uplifting and charming film.
Exactly.
If you're just looking for something to kind of just kick back and watch and just really feel happy, and that goes for pretty much any of Studio Ghibli's films, this one is a very good baseline. And I'm actually very glad that this is the first Studio Ghibli film that you watched, John, because it's a very good base thought to go in for the rest of Miyazaki's films, because you can really see him toying around with all of the ideas that become his legacy.
Yeah, okay.
There's all of the aeronautics stuff that he is known for, your strong female leads, orphan children. It's all there. He's just toying around and messing with all of these ideas that, all go on to pave the way for what Studio Ghibli is as we know it today. So, yeah, I'm really glad that you watched this one first.
Yeah, I can't comment on this because I've only watched this one. I was about to say something. No, wouldn't really add to the conversation.
Would you recommend this film, John?
I would recommend this film. I would recommend you watch this after Infernal Affairs if that was a bit heavy. Watch this.
Infernal Affairs was a bit too much for you and you're kind of questioning life a little bit. And you know,
Yep. Yeah, there's no existential guilt like concepts. There's no men being thrown off of skyscrapers.
You will walk away feeling happy.
Yes, exactly. But it was also just a good film. I was very much invested. I was very impressed by the world, and obviously the animation was delightful. Yeah,
Feast for the eyes. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And as if you can't already tell, I'm a big Studio Ghibli fan and a fan of Miyazaki's work, so obviously I recommend this film wholeheartedly. So,
so go watch it.
Go check it out
before the spoilers come in. Go watch it, or I will hack your bank account.
Is that the new threat?
Yeah, I gotta work out. Are you gonna
try and come up with a threat
one every week? Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
He's gonna hack your bank account and buy a boat, and he's gonna ride the boat.
Okay, well, don't just take all of my good ideas.
Oh,
okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I gotta cross that one.
We're gonna say hack the bank account.
The list now.
We're gonna say hack the bank account this week, and then next week you're gonna go and buy a boat.
There's hack the bank account, and then there's like 40 sub-crimes about hacking bank
within
accounts.
that. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, that's a lot of continuity, though. You gotta.
Yeah, I think it's like a nice theme. I think that's important with a new podcast. You kind of you get some things that'll make the audience go, oh yeah, they did that once before, didn't they? That's hilarious. Good callback.
This triggers my memory.
Height of comedy. Wow, these aren't just a pair of talentless hacks. They're a pair of talented hacks that can see patterns.
Douglas, add in the air horns. Do it.
The air horn, yes. Put the air horn in. Thank you.
Very good. We're now in spoiler territory.
Spoiler territory. If you're still here, I'm sorry, but I have taken all of your money. I have spoofed your credit card, and I've spent it all on Big Macs.
It's all gone.
I have a shipment of 80 Big Macs coming to my house right now, and I didn't pay for a cent.
Wow. That's a hustle, to be honest. Actually, I have McDonald's sitting next to me. I could totally eat that right now, but I'm not going to.
That sounds like bad radio.
Because I have self-control.
Good.
So, yeah, let's talk about the film. Let's talk about the beginning. Sheeta gets kidnapped from the airship. Now, I was under the original preconception that the pirates were the bad guys and the airship dudes were the good guys. So the people that were on the airship, I was like, okay, well, these are our good dudes.
Right at the start, that's what you get. I think the first scene, obviously.
Without any further preconceptions or context, they kind of set it up like that. And I liked that. I liked the kind of, you kind of just believe that these guys are good purely because they're trying to protect Sheeta from these pirate dudes who are raiding the blimp.
Which I think is actually good because it does take you a second to kind of go, oh, these pirates, I guess, are not as bad as they seem. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
Their intentions are still not pure.
Right. Yeah, no, they're very...
But comparatively,
they're very
compared to world
misaligned.
domination.
And I liked that about... This is kind of jumping down the way a bit, but Dola's character, the way that she never really... She always kind of... Her actions were, does this suit me and the lads?
Yeah,
and
okay.
she was always kind
Family
of following
first
that.
kind of thing.
Yeah, totally. Because I did a little bit of digging, and there's a lot of... The pirates call her mother. And that's what originally I just thought she was called. I thought she was just mum. But then I did some digging and found out that Dola has 3 sons within her band of pirates. And obviously, those 3 pirates would call her mum.
Oh, I know all of them.
No, they're not all her sons.
Okay,
So
I did
she
not
just
know
has
that.
3 kids, and then they call her mum. Each one of those 3 pirates call her mum, and then the rest
Yeah.
of them call her captain or Dola.
Yep.
So yeah, I just found that kind of neat,
Oh,
and
I
just
did
her
not notice
character for me was a big bellissimo.
Yeah, she's delightful.
Miyazaki does very good with elderly characters. Just as a baseline, he is very, very good at portraying the elderly.
Thanks for spoiling the rest of the films for me, Douglas. I really appreciate that.
There's elderly people in every
There'll be an
every
elderly person
single
in
fucking film.
the next film.
It's a goddamn motif. It's like me
and I'll be
telling
like,
you that they're going to
"Ugh."
be airplanes in
Wow,
fucking
great,
House Moving Castle. Big whoop.
I know that this person's not going to be bad. Thanks, Douglas.
Jesus.
Unbelievable. The way that they're set up definitely means it takes you a second to be like, oh, they're not that
They're not
bad.
terrible. Yeah.
They could be a lot worse.
The pirates are so fucking likable. Like, they're
Yeah.
just... they're the best.
They
I
are
love
pretty
them.
delightful. They are pretty good.
They're such good comic relief. And, yeah, I love them. They have so many good lines.
So switch back to the start. Flip back to the start because I have notes here.
Hit me with
I
them.
really like the opening. I thought that was just incredible with where they've kind of drawn it to look like a wood carving, and
Yeah.
I believe the opening is actually the history of the city in the clouds, or just
Laputa.
the
Yeah.
of the world in general. It's actually like historical, which now realizing wood carving makes sense.
Oh, yeah, with all the trees.
It
and
all
stuff,
lines
yeah.
up. It's like it's like a historical record
Yeah.
type
Yep.
wood carving deal.
Yep.
That was really, really nice. Just like a little thing, but it's the kind of range they have in that animation is really, really impressive.
Absolutely.
I noticed very quickly just like in terms of animation quality, they have a way of making the characters feel like so real.
Yeah, yeah.
I noted it right at the start. Paizu, when he catches Sheeta, he like stops for a second he's like, oh, I'm gonna catch it. Oh, stop. Put the bucket down, and
Yes,
then he grabs her
yes.
and he's like straining under her weight in a way that seems really real.
all of those little details.
and it's maybe it's less, or it's kind of like a combination of good depiction of the human form, but also things with like continuity. So there's stuff like when they get off the glider, about 3/4 of the way in the film, when they reach the castle in the sky, I think Sheeta goes to get up, or one of them goes to get up, and the other one kind of gets pulled up with them because they tied
Yeah, they're
themselves
tied.
together.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
just like this cute little continuity thing, which they then sort of play into like a nice moment because Paizu picks
Yeah, he
her
picks
up
him
and
up.
they walk to the
So
end,
cute.
and that whole
So
bit is really
fucking
nice with like the
sweet.
dancing and everything.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's delightful.
so
that
wholesome.
I was constantly like kind of watching out for little things like that. And yeah, there's things like the I mentioned before, the matte paintings. They have these. I actually was just really excited about the general landscape stuff. I was actually
Yeah.
not unimpressed by the castle in the sky, but I actually found the world on the ground a lot more interesting
More
because
intriguing.
it's sort of like a steampunky, slightly alternate universe
Victorian
kind of world, Victorian era construction, but everything's very, you
Sure.
got these these mines and stuff. I thought they
you
were
also
really
don't
cool.
get too much screen time with Laputa, and I think
No,
that
not
also,
really.
you get way more screen time down with the mining town and all of that, which I think would add to that thought. Whereas with Laputa, you get up there, you hang around there for about 10 minutes, and the whole thing goes to shit, and then away she goes up into the fucking sky. So,
but it does continue throughout while they're kind of exploring it and stuff. Even when they're being chased and stuff, it's all still really, really pretty.
Kind of Aztec-y. Anyway, we're jumping down a little bit, but then Cheetah rocks up to the mining town after being kidnapped, and she's hanging out with Patsu. For me, Patsu was...
Is it Patsu or Paizu?
In the dub, it was Patsu.
Okay.
But for you,
it might be slightly different.
For the sub, is it Pazu?
I think it was like Paizu. Anyway.
Either way.
I think I wrote it down with an I and then I scribbled it out because it's not how it's spelled.
Right.
So I think they pronounce it Paizu in the sub.
Yeah. For me, he's immediately likable. Just such a hardworking, genuine, charismatic, lovely kid. He's just so nice.
Oh.
Immediately charming. And obviously got a heart of gold, which is, again, very common for Miyazaki's lead characters. They are just immediately likable, like pretty much right off the bat. He adds all of these tiny little details and things to their characters that make you go, yeah, I love this person, and if anyone happens to them, anything happens to them, I will shoot everyone in this room and then shoot myself.
Yikes. I liked the boss at the start as well. He was like a very rough character, but kind of fatherly.
Rough and tough. Yeah,
which is cool. I loved. So when they start escaping, I loved the bit with the muscle off where they're like ripping their shirts. I wrote Popeye ?
Yeah, like JoJo kind of. It had a real JoJo vibe to it.
They're doing like these big like wind up punches, and then someone will do the same punch back, and they'll like stumble back in a very like.
And the crowd's all animated and jeering and cheering them on.
It's so good, and then like it gets
starts
like
breaking
turns
out
like
into
this
full
cartoon
fisticuffs.
brawl, which is hilarious. I did note that at that point in the I mean the whole time, the pirates are very like much more animated than the army people. They're very kind of bouncy and leany in their movements that makes them a bit more
cartoon.
And it starts to break down that preconception that they're like terrible
they're the bad
people.
guys, and
whereas you get I think it's actually not Colonel Muska at the start. I think it's someone else, the guy with in the black suit. But he's just like standing there looking all sus, and
watching
like,
from the alleyway.
Okay. This dude's bad news, clearly. But yeah, I loved the animation for them, and it continues throughout. They're very goofy characters, so you're kind of constantly breaking that down. Big fan of that.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
that a lot.
Setting something up and then going, look a little closer, and then you go, oh, it will not break. Oh, look, it broke. That's a few movies away. Sorry, it's Aladdin.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Have you seen Aladdin?
I have seen Aladdin.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck. All right. Well.
Yeah. Sorry.
Shit. I was hoping I could make a reference, and then you go, "What's that?" And then I go,
What are you talking about?
It's coming soon. Fuck it. Then what happens? Shido and Patsu are in the mine with the old dude.
Yes.
I forget his name.
So there's the whole escape sequence that I do like a lot. That old engineer
in the train.
I mean, look, I think we're going to end up just repeating ourselves, going like, we love every one of the characters except for the antagonists who are built up to be cartoonishly evil.
But even then, they're likable. Like, they're still likable antagonists.
Sort of, except for Colonel Muska, who is just like crazy.
I loved him.
You did?
I thought he was a great antagonist. Like, just
he's a good antagonist. It's just not the same.
Oh, and I wish you had. You didn't get to hear Mark Hamill's performance of Colonel
does
Muska.
Hamill play him?
It's Mark Hamill, and It's Mark Hamill before he does the Joker for Batman. And we interrupt your regularly scheduled program as we will go to inform you that Douglas is entirely wrong when speaking about Mark Hamill in this instance. The recording of the Laputa Castle in the Sky Disney dub took place in 1998, whereas Mark Hamill began voicing the Joker in the Batman animated series in 1992. Therefore, he could not be, quote, toying with the motifs, as he had already solidified the character of the Joker 6 years prior. The responsible parties for this incorrect information have been violently sacked. We now return to your regularly scheduled program.
Is that a gun?
Thank you.
Jesus Christ!
He's totally toying around with all of these little motifs and ideas that he then puts into the Joker. This is jumping forward a ways, but there's a section where Sheeta is running away from Colonel Musker with the crystal, and Musker is walking after her through the tunnels. And he's just laughing, and it is the Joker laugh. Like, it's literally just the Joker laugh. And
Lord.
It's phenomenal. They whack some reverb on that shit, and it's just, you're like, he is terrifying. That is if I was walking down an alleyway late at night and I heard that shit, I would pee my pants.
That's such a good match as well, because he is clearly like kind of, I mean, the Joker's just crazy, but he's like crazy with power kind of thing.
Greed, and he's got a real need for power, which is, he was so good. Such a good performance, Mike.
Oh, okay.
So,
I might run over it with the English dub then.
Oh, just brush over Musker's.
Just bounce over a couple of scenes, have a bit of a look.
Another bit from Musker that I really liked was he's a very smart antagonist, and you could tell that pretty much straight off the bat. There's the bit where Sheeta casts the spell, and then the crystal goes all batshit, and he goes to touch it, and it burns him, right?
Yeah.
Later on, there's the whole bit with the giant, the fortress all goes to shit, and the crystal falls down, and it's found on the floor, and the military guys go, Musker, you want to see this? And then he walks over, and he taps the crystal. He taps it before he picks it up.
Kind of like checks it, yeah.
Because his last preconception with it was that it burns him. So he taps it before he picks it up, and I was like, "Whoa, that is!" It's such a tiny detail, but it makes sense. His last experience with it was that he got burnt using it. So, if that was how he last had it, he wouldn't just fucking swipe it and pick it up and just start mangle it with his hands. He would first tap it cautiously and then pick it up afterwards.
He's ironically not a cartoon villain. I mean, he is.
He has the personality of a cartoon villain.
Yeah, he's
but he
not
has
like
the brains of like a Bond villain.
Exactly.
It's really weird. It's really, really weird. But it's so good.
Yeah, okay.
I love him.
He's
Sorry, I just wanted to choose about Musker.
No, that's okay. The mine. You did mention this.
Yes, sorry.
Uncle Pom.
Uncle Pom, that's it.
Uncle Pom. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you have any comments on this? Because I'm just going to say that he was really nice again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a gem. And again, it's more him just making Miyazaki making elderly people so fucking lovable. Yeah. And just wise. And, the fact that Patsu and Sheeta both, they really listen into like everything he's saying. And that, Patsu obviously has a pre-established relationship with him.
He's got,
but
he knows the guy.
It's not refreshing, not for like, I'm old man stupid, where's my pick? What are you kids doing down here? I swear to God, I'll fucking kill you. And then Patsy's like, oh God, don't look at him. He's the creepy old man who's sound of the mind.
Just look away.
Don't
Just
make
keep
eye
walking.
contact.
Just keep walking.
We don't just walk away. I don't know. That's just nice.
He was just a really nice story beat.
Yeah.
It's kind of not throwing this whole idea at you. He's just like, this
a nice
is
little
like
bit of exposition with him.
This is a weird thing that came from another civilization. How did you get this? And he's like taken by the power of it that he gets
all
to put
intimidated,
it away.
And he's like, you put that thing away. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting character. He's not one-sided.
And it was so somber when they left him, and he's just standing in the hall waving goodbye. I'm like, this is the lot. He's gonna die. Just like it's got like a really wide shot of parts of Cheetah walking away, and then just the cave like crumbles. Rocks just all fall in and cave in on him.
He just dissolves into dust from old age.
Parts of Cheetah flying away in the end. They're like, "What happened to Uncle Bob?"
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, whatever.
He'll come up eventually.
Crazy old rock man. He's
crazy
fine.
old Bob. Fucking.
So they get captured at that point.
Yep.
I did make a note that the fortress they end up with, like, even that fortress has this like sort of rounded. It's intimidating, but also like not in a way.
Yeah.
It was really weird. It's like
very,
just
not
the way everything is
Disney-esque, but
designed throughout.
Yeah, nothing ever really feels too intimidating. I liked the structure of the Goliath. I thought the general design of the Goliath was crazy interesting.
Yeah,
with
that was
the
very
helicopter
cool.
blades on the top, and then like the rotor blades on the sides, and that's again another thing that you'll find throughout all of Studio Ghibli films is Miyazaki just jizzing himself over airplane designs, like
airships and stuff.
Yeah, he draws hundreds of thousands of airship designs, and it was all
Airships are so cool, though.
yeah,
man.
it was all through. I think
There's a reason they're in every Final Fantasy.
his
'Cause they're
father,
sick.
Miyazaki's father, was a pilot in one of the World Wars, I'm pretty sure, and
Right,
then
okay.
through that, Miyazaki adapted a fondness for airplanes and their structure and design, and so from that, he's just included them as a motif in all of his films. So, strap in for more batshit crazy airplane design.
I am so here for it. It's very, very cool. And they've got the pirates have their own airship as well,
Yeah,
which is
yep.
constructed differently but quite neat. You mentioned the kind of military motifs. I found that really cool. The army is very convincing. And when they're not when they've got like wide shots of them or like people on the battlements and stuff like that, they seem very real. They then kind of tone it down, probably for, the whole
The kiddies,
child-focused
tiddlywinks,
vibe.
Yep.
So
They definitely. So Miyazaki normally has a very anti-war standpoint in a lot of his films, especially in Grave of the Fireflies. Oh my god. But it's much less vibrant and in your face in this film, most definitely.
Okay.
His anti-war motif definitely comes through more in his later films. In this film, it does kind of feel like they're just there to be the force,
Yeah, okay.
the antagonistic force,
Yeah.
which they do it well. They serve their purpose.
Yeah, I think they kind of. I'm wondering if he was trying to say something with that, but the whole looting at the end.
Yeah, greed,
where they're
obviously,
very-
man's greed and
Yeah.
curiosity, and
Something like that. That's that feels like it. I guess a thematic sort of thing there.
I think that what I got from that is that man's curiosity can be destructive. In that they're basically blowing apart this, old city
Yeah,
that
that's
could have
right.
been
Just like
scoured for
knocking doors
artifacts.
down and stacking shit up.
The amount of historical knowledge that was held within those walls, and they just knocked it all over
Cultural
just looking for the
significance.
treasure. Kind of obviously first thing that springs to mind is pyramids and tomb raiders and things like that.
Yeah.
So much historical knowledge was lost due to people raiding the tombs. So yeah, I don't know. Neat idea.
Neat. It was interesting. Hey, man, I'm not a big fan of the military, so I'm into it.
Yeah, John's here for it.
I can get around that. So they get taken to the military fortress.
Yep.
That's where we first see that Goliath, which was quite cool.
Yep.
A big Chekhov's gun right there.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just like, oh, this thing's waking up.
Yeah.
That's very obvious.
Yeah, I really liked the giant, the robot in the fortress. I thought he served a very good purpose as a character, and his design in general is just creepy as all hell.
They got the little the arm that's been cut off, the leg's been cut off, and it's got like electronics coming out, but they're like
also
sort
like
of
organic. Yeah, it's really unsettling.
That's really nifty. And it's kind of a fun, the way that's animated because it only has one foot and it's missing half of an arm.
It's kind of dragging itself and lumbering.
So it's like, it like crawls through one bit. When it starts to fly up the tower, it like hits one of the staircases on the way up because it's like not stabilized properly.
Yeah.
And it like melts through the door and there's like metal dripping off of it, molten metal.
Yeah.
I
All
really,
such good
really,
details.
I did really enjoy that scene. And like even in that scene, there's like no one dies per se, not on camera. I mean, no one dies like on camera, like, you know, on screen.
Except for the giant. The giant fucking gets it right down the gullet. But there is that. It's implied that there is a lot of collateral damage, and Sheeta knows it because she is like bawling her eyes out when they rescue her. Remember, she's just cuddling onto Patsu and just bawling her eyes out. And to me, that's just because she is aware of the amount of collateral damage that just happened. And it's
it's a pretty stressful situation.
Absolutely. Like the blood is on her hands, you know. If she wasn't at the fortress, then none of that would have happened.
Yeah,
I liked that idea.
I'm 100% sure I saw that, but I can kind of see it with how she like stops the Goliath at one. No, sorry, the giant.
Yeah, she's watching it shoot everything, and she's like, whoa, hold it, buddy, stop. Stop.
Yeah. But then he shoots the laser out into the field, which I think was kind of more of an interesting like method of establishing, because as the clock tower explodes, the pirates and Paizu
Dola and Patsu
are just flying past it. So you're like, oh, they're that far away. Which was quite clever. And a very like, you know, pretty tense moment as they're trying to get Sheeta away from the castle. Trying to catch her.
Good rescue. Good rescue.
Because there's the whole bit where Dola gets knocked down and he has to fly.
Patsu's got to ride the flapter.
The whole thing is very cool. It's very complicated and there's like a lot going on, which was quite neat.
Good action sequence.
Good action sequence. 10 out of 10. 10.
But yeah, then they...
That's how good it was.
You've rated the film.
So I realized I was overstating that a little bit, but I just doubled down instead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, then they pick up Sheeta, and then they head back to the pirate ship to recoup. And
once again,
you get more establishing stuff for the pirates and for Dola, which is great.
She's definitely... I love how she puts her in the breeches, and I noticed at that point that both of them had like ponytails, like braids, I guess, in like more or less the same, which was kind of interesting.
Something I spotted in Dola's bedroom in that same sequence where she brings out the breeches. There's a portrait of Dola, obviously, when she's a younger pirate, and it looks like a spitting image of Sheeta.
Oh.
It is like 1-to-1 bang on Sheeta.
I did not notice that.
And that's when I started to be like, is Sheeta Dola's daughter? Question mark. But then obviously that's not right. But just that little moment, I was like, is this a Chekhov's gun? I don't.
Yeah. That's not the definition of Chekhov's gun, but that's okay.
What? No, wait. What do you mean?
I'm gonna fight you about this.
What? Chekhov's gun is the thing that's...
Neither of us know about film theory. Let's fight.
Let's bring up Wikipedia, goddammit.
Yeah, let's bring up Wikipedia.
Urban Dictionary.
What is it? If a gun is shown in the
first act, then it must be used in the second act.
Then it must be used.
Yes.
I thought it was by the third.
Well, yeah, sure.
Anyway.
You won't understand this, but the character that is in the boiler room with Patsu in the ship is very reminiscent of a character that pops up in Spirited Away, who is also in a boiler room. Just his design is very, very similar. So when we get to Spirited Away, you'll spot him, hopefully, if you remember. I'll remind you. But just his character design, his facial design, all that stuff is very, very similar. And I was like, wow. Maybe he was toying around with a kind of boiler room character design in this film and then decided to reuse it for Spirited Away. I don't know.
Got those motifs
it's
down.
Neat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Continuity.
Yeah, so I thought it was kind of... I wasn't sure how to feel about the whole scene where she's like gets put on cooking duty because she's like a very strong character before that. But I guess she does take it in her stride.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things just to touch on here between the sub and the dub. In the dub, the Disney dubbed, they modified the pirate's dialogue regarding Sheeta, where there's the bearded dude who comes in the door holding the little thing of flowers.
Yep.
And he says that he loves Sheeta. And that immediately I was like, whoa, buddy. She's got to be like fucking 10 years younger than you, dude.
There's a bit of a gap there, bud.
Let's go, a little bit.
Don't think that's legal, big man.
Yeah,
but...
and in the Japanese version, which I'm sure you would have seen, they aspire her to be more of a potential mother figure. So she's like another Dola to them. But in the dubbed version, they think that she's a love interest because they portray Sheeta and Patsu as more in their mid-teens rather than their pre-teens. So in the subbed,
I don't know, Disney. That's still a bit weird.
Weird. They look like pre-teens. They definitely do not look like mid-teens.
No.
So that whole sequence kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, oh, Disney, I'm not too sure on this one, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's...
Mickey, give me... Ooh.
Just run that one through a couple more meetings
Put that one
again.
through
Just
the
be
filter
absolutely
again.
certain. Yeah. No, I didn't pick that up, but they handle it better than the Japanese one. It's less weird.
Agreed.
Come on, guys.
And that's so weird for me. That it's...
Which is...
less
that the Japanese
weird.
one is like less weird.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, it's odd.
You know what? Good on you. Big thumbs up. Make it less weird. Don't have the child.
Good on you, Japan. Yeah.
And it was I guess talking about Sheeta and Paizu, and they're kind of they didn't like try and jam a relationship in there. Which I like that a lot.
Absolutely. There wasn't the bit at the end with them fucking smooching each other while they're flying off into the sunset or some shit. I was like, no, don't do it.
Would have been unnecessary. Didn't do it. Good on you. Big
Miyazaki,
fan of that.
big. You get a high five.
You get a big. Yep. Wait. Got it.
Wow.
Caught your high five.
Oh, you were catching mine.
Yeah, I was catching your high five from the other coast. Yeah.
I see. He's traveling by express.
Yeah, exactly.
The Foley...
It was only a couple of seconds.
Huh?
No, go for it. I'm talking bullshit.
The Foley for Dola's ship was really satisfying for me.
Yeah.
The white noise of Dola's ship and like the little like all those kind of noises were just so nice to me. I was like, I could listen to this shit for 10 hours and just fall asleep. It's so nice. It's like the what is it? The Starship Enterprise in Star Trek. It has like a humming sound that is really good white noise. It is so nice. It's really, really relaxing.
The sub actually has a lot less of that. So I think I did mention it before. There's in a lot of the more frantic scenes, the Disney dub specifically, they added music to a lot of the more frantic scenes that might not have had them, and they also added
more music,
a lot of extras, just like saying stuff.
Yeah, one-liners and things like that to fill the dead space.
Or just like chatter and things to make it seem like there's more behavior going on. Whereas the sub does not. It has a lot less of that. Obviously, the score is only 60% of the length of the Disney one. There is a sound effect for the ship, but I don't think it's multi-layered. I think it's just one sound. Kind of like puttering noise.
Right. So how does that actually weigh out then? How did you feel with the amount of dead space and stuff that there was, the whole minimalistic sound aspect of the subbed? How did that sit with you?
So I did watch when I was first checking the video. I listened to it in English originally. I listened to the opening scene with the Goliath. I think it was the Goliath. Or some other airship.
Yeah, yep.
The airship at the start.
With the dubbed.
And there's music running through the whole thing. And then I obviously watched it again in the sub. And it's sort of more tense. It's especially in an opening, it felt a lot more fitting to have no music to kind of keep you, I guess, kind of wondering what's going on.
Keep you in it more.
Yeah, not exactly, no. It's just a different kind of feel to it.
Yeah, for sure.
not necessarily fitting to a children's film. Maybe it might actually be just a better move for them to, have it quiet for.
The Disney dubbed absolutely feels more Disney, and that is
Okay,
credit
yeah,
to
okay.
Joe Hisaishi's expanding of the score. As you said, the added bits of chatter and one-liners and dialogue and things, all of those it really makes it feel more Disney. And when Joe Hisaishi's orchestral score swells and everything to give you the emotion of the bit that comes to mind for me is when they first arrive in Laputa and they're doing all of the establishing shots of Laputa, and Joe Hisaishi's orchestra just starts really fucking going in and just slamming in with the strings and everything, and I'm like, whoa, wow, this is so cool. But like, I can imagine in the subbed it's a lot more understated.
Yeah, it kind of felt more like it's like a dead city. There's not loads going on. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I totally did get that vibe.
Yeah.
But I also didn't, it didn't feel worse, I think. I think it probably would have benefited from more chatter.
Yeah.
And maybe more Foley work. But it was, it wasn't anything that really stood out to me except when I was comparing it side by side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was interesting. I like the voice acting more.
Yeah.
This is basically the upshot of it.
Patsu and Sheeta's voice acting in the dubbed version is not super hot. Patsu is pretty good. Sheeta has her moments. There are moments where Sheeta is really good, and then there are moments where you're like, it sounds like you're at gunpoint when you're reading this script, man. Like, what's going
Yikes.
on?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are they child voice actors?
No,
Do you know?
mid-teens. So they
okay.
they make them sound like they're older in the dubbed, as opposed to in the subbed. I listened to the only bit of the subbed that I've listened to was the section where Patsu and Sheeta first get to talking, and there's all the white doves and stuff, and
the lighthouse.
they sound
deal,
so much more childish in the subbed than they do in the dubbed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which weird decision, but anyway.
I mean, come on, Disney. You didn't have any excuse. You put teen actors in there instead of child actors.
When
Come on,
they
man.
very obviously look like children. The theme motif that Joe Hisaishi sets up, I can't think of I can't sing or hum the melody right now, but it's so good. The Castle in the Sky theme as like a general is just so lovely. And
overlay this bit of audio with the
we can't. We'll get copyrighted, so I can only put in 3 seconds. So. And stop. Okay.
All right. Yep.
Is that enough? Okay.
Don't actually do it then because we were jabbering at the same time.
Yeah. No. I'll just insert some silence and then stop.
All right. Okay.
It was just so nice. Joe Hisaishi, he continues to compose music for all but one of Studio Ghibli's films. I think it's Ponyo that he doesn't compose the score for. Don't quote me on that. But this is him at his finest, if you ask me. Especially in the dubbed, because he gets that access to more instruments, which gives the score a bit more fullness than I think it does in the subbed. But again, as you say, that's, not exactly for the best, not exactly for the worst. It is nice to have those understated moments in the score where the music can kind of take a backseat and the visuals can do the storytelling for you, rather than the music swelling and you going, oh, I have to feel sad now. Oh! You just, let the visuals
There was
do it
definitely,
for you.
well, I mean, it's kind of hard to compare it, I guess, for you to be like, did I feel adequately emotional in this scene? I'm not certain. But I think I didn't have, I wasn't sitting there going like, what am I supposed to feel here? I think it was very obviously communicated.
Did you enjoy the soundtrack in the subbed?
There's a lot less of it, and it's a lot simpler.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really charming.
Yes.
Because it is just, I think
so
it's
minimalistic.
just single track synth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't actually thinking about it as much as I probably should have been. Now that I think it was good.
I mean, I'm currently doing a diploma of music, so I'm obviously paying a lot more attention to composing music and the way that film and music kind of integrate. I find it really interesting. So I'll probably be batting on a lot about soundtracks. So sorry about that.
I'm gonna try harder. I'm gonna work it out.
Listen with the most refined part of your ear, my boy.
The most refined.
Getting back on track, the bit that is probably one of the most talked about bits in whenever someone talks about Castle in the Sky, the moment where Sheeta has the bit where with Dola, where Sheeta is up with Patsu in the crow's nest, as it were. And
oh yeah, that was such a good scene.
Dola says to, come down, shouldn't be up there, you're a girl. And then Sheeta retorts that, I'm a female and that, I can do this just fine. And
I think she says so. I don't know if she says this in the dub, but in the sub she says you're a girl too.
Yes, yeah, she says that in the dubbed as well.
And it's just like, cracker, love it.
Good writing, and obviously very progressive and very ahead of its time, and just good to see. Good to see that happen in a kids movie, and give that level of responsibility and respect to the female lead. I think is really important.
Yeah.
Rather than Patsu being like, it's too unsafe for you. You should be up here. Get down in the brink. She's like pushing her head down and shit. I think, I don't know. It's just, it's good. It's just good to have.
Yeah. It's the main reason
it's the
why
correct
they did have
choice to make.
They've got that one scene with like the kitchen scene. I'm like, this is a bit of a left turn from what we'd had up until now, but they then kind of turn around by making all the pirates look like massive man babies, which I guess it balances out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think obviously that's such a good thing, especially with a children's film, to be like, there is nothing stopping you
to set that example for.
As a girl, you can do everything the boy can do.
Absolutely. Yep. I think that's really good, and I hope that we see
zero complaints.
Hope that
from
we
me
see
for
more
that.
of that in the top 250. Actually,
I think we will see more in the Ghibli films.
Yeah, absolutely.
You literally said that before.
Yep. I just a note that I wrote down here is that this movie would have been fucking electrifying in the 80s when it first came out. This shit would have been
86.
Just knowing everything that we know now and seeing everything that we've seen now. We kind of take Laputa Castle in the Sky and its animation with a pinch of salt because we already have so many amazing animated films and stuff that we've seen. But for this to come out, and the only other thing really that might have contested with it might have been, I don't know, Akira, but that didn't come out till 2 years later. Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind.
Is it pre-Disney?
Yeah. I mean... Shit, Disney was Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and that shit was 1960 something. I can hear you typing, so right. I'm gonna cover you for to let you go and
I'm just gonna
search this up.
the date for Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, it's for a movie like this to come out
37. So it's not like it's not like they were like leading the charge.
Absolutely, but still, for a movie like this to come out when it did, it must have been insane, especially the same
very different themes to Snow White.
Well, okay, like just from watching a Disney film and then you watch this, you can't really compare the two because they're of different cultural backgrounds, they're of different themes. I can imagine back in 1986 that you couldn't really compare this film to anything. It was just so a little product of itself. The scene that
very unique.
The scene that made me write that note was the section where Patsu and Sheeta are flying through the storm to get to Laputa, and it's all black and there's all these lightning bolts and strange colors and close-up shots.
I did write a note about that because of like how it looked. It's just amazing.
Close-up shots of Patsu's face and everything, and his reactions and
hyper shadows.
Yeah, just it's animation at its finest, you know?
It was really cool. And there is definitely some kind of Disney impact with a lot of the animation. I think
that's inevitable.
The style is... Yeah, it's probably similar to the Toy Story effect, how, basically 3D animation, looks the way it does because the first
Toy Story kicked its ass so fucking well.
The big first 3D animated film was, all the characters were plastic.
Yeah.
So that means that they kind of got away with sort of a lower level of details, or were having skin look a lot smoother and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I feel like this would have had a very similar effect. Disney would have had a very similar effect with those early animated films.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's, yeah.
Laputa itself, I think, was fucking magical. The sense of wonder that it creates for me was really cool. Like the bit where they're in the greenhouse type area, where when you're inside this bubble, you could see out to the sky, but from the outside, it was walls. So it was like a two-way mirror type of effect. Which, I don't know, just all of those tiny little details and the animals and the foliage and everything. Yeah, I don't know. It really had me going, whoa, so pretty.
I really love the design.
Yeah.
And all like the interesting parts. I wonder if I'm being a bit too picky, but I did feel like it was too much of a change from the like really tense bit they'd had up till there. But I guess you do need kind of a break.
You need that, yeah.
It does go very hard.
They've kind of been on the chase and had the military on their tail, and then everything's kind of been pretty full on. I guess you do get that break with just the whole pirate sequence of them on the ship, living on the ship. You get that as a break. But then you're pretty much right back into it when they bump into Goliath, and then they're both racing for Laputa.
It's probably only 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, but
I get where you're coming from. I don't know. I can understand that.
I think I'll think about that a bit more. But it was, very pretty, very interesting, and they start to kind of piece things together
of who the people of Laputa
what's
were.
going on.
And obviously, I mean that the whole message of Laputa still fucking rings true 34 years later, which I think is insane longevity for a theme of a film. And just the preservation of eco and just Earth, I think, as a general, I kind of took that as a theme from Laputa. And then men's greed and need for power kind of burning and incinerating both history and Earth, I think is really powerful. And the fact that was true then and is still true now is a very big statement. But I don't know. I found that whole sequence and motif very interesting, and I think that does reoccur in a couple of Miyazaki's other films as well, is the whole preservation of not just Earth, but history itself. We need to be careful of, things that have come before us, because we can learn a hell of a lot from them. So, like this movie.
Wow! This is a piece of culture by definition. The movie starts to kind of round out from that point.
Yeah. You get a reveal of Muska.
Muska proves how truly crazy he is.
Some of his animation where he's going like all wide-eyed and stuff behind his glasses.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, it's very classic anime crazy dude.
Totally.
Crazy antagonist.
I was waiting for him to like frizzle up his hair a little bit and dishevel his clothing a little bit, but that didn't happen. He still looked...
pushes glasses up his nose and they go white.
They go all shiny and reflective.
No, we did not get that, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that was a good reveal. Muska's true identity. For me, I was like, okay.
Kind of just we've mentioned this before, but the whole pillaging and looting thing was a bit, you kind of, it's saying a lot about, it's trying to basically reinforce its themes there, which I think it does a pretty good job with.
Yep. And a lot of the stuff, I think, before they actually discover Laputa, the idea of when there's the possibility of there being something bigger, man's immediate instinct is to build defenses and to be bigger than the other thing that is bigger. Which is the whole purpose for me of the Goliath. They would have built the Goliath because they knew that Laputa was somewhere up there, and the idea that a civilization floating around above Earth's atmosphere that could demolish us all whenever they bloody well wanted to, man's immediate instinct would be to go, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to build all of these defenses and military equipment to defend, quote unquote, ourselves.
There is a bit of interesting, like, in-film history there where they talk about, they're like, this didn't used to just be a story told to children. This used to be the kind of apex civilization.
Yeah.
And I actually started to notice that, I think it was in the final scene, maybe a bit earlier.
Yeah.
But there are craters everywhere in the mining town, like in all the flat plains and stuff. It's covered in, like, obviously the remnants of some bombings from a long past war, which was just such a tiny little thing, but it's definitely something that you'll notice if you watch it again.
Absolutely. And again, all of that sort of the military and the war motifs scattered all throughout Ghibli films. You'll find them in every single one.
Not super positive.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's reflection of Miyazaki's view of his father participating in World War.
Makes sense. Seems consistent.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, for me, that's all I've really got for the actual movie. I think
the final scene, it doesn't do anything crazy.
Denouement! That's it! That's the word that I was trying to think of before we started. The denouement.
What?
The denouement of the film. When I was writing down the notes, I put down we write out the movie structure, and then I put escape, and then I was trying to think of what the word was for, like, the end of the film, or like the winding down of the film. Couldn't think of it, and it just hit me then. Denouement.
Just hit you then. Just in time, an hour in.
Shut up.
That final scene, I didn't dislike it, but I actually think I found the earlier parts of the film stronger.
For sure. It does tie everything off in a nice, neat little bow, and then sends them off on their way,
Kind of, not stereotypical, but kind of tracks some
safe.
Common beats.
Very safe.
Of, like, yeah, so...
But also, it is the 1980s. They don't have too much context for other...
They had a few movies back in the 1980s.
Sure, but, like, I don't know, yeah.
They've been shooting film for, like, 100 years at that point, or something close to it. Let's see. I have a note that the core of the city in the castle in the sky looks like Ramiel from Evangelion.
Oh,
that's not helpful to anyone, because that dude's just a fucking what are the 8-sided shapes? Not valuable note, Jonathan. Thank you.
8-sided. What? What's that called? Like a crystal that has, like,
it is a
shape that has 8 sides to it. Do you want me to keep talking so you can search this up? I can hear you typing. I really enjoyed Castle in the Sky.
Vamp.
It was I added actually, something I can talk about that has mild merit. I liked that Patsu and Shita didn't join the pirates at the end. I liked that they went their separate ways, because that, to me, was a very obvious choice that because Dola obviously has the attachment to Shita, and Patsu is there for the lads, and he's kind of there for Shita, and he enjoys the ship and everything, but I'm glad that they both went their separate ways. It's
called it's called an octahedron. I'm not proud of myself for that one.
Hey, still, we're all learning things. Maybe someone
we're all
listening
learning things.
Know
I'm learning that
called.
It is just obviously the most obvious name for a polyhedron with 8 sides. Octahedron makes sense. I did find that last bit. I guess I was kind of riding off of so much of the world building that happens early in, and there's kind of the kind of roiling chase that you have, or the escapes and stuff. I found that a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously introducing new characters was really cool. Not a bad ending.
Yeah. It's a very, as I said, it's a very
the ending very wholesome.
Yes.
Like that a lot.
Yes.
the pirates got away and they've all got
Yep.
their
They've got that goofy montage of them waving goodbye, and then one of the pirates nearly falls off the thing and, clambers back on. That's again very Ghibli-esque. All of the goodbyes and the farewells are all kind of very wholesome and sweet. Moving on, looking to the future. Very nice.
So
do you want to trade off some trivia?
Okay,
the trivia that you've got written down is different to my trivia. So do you want to spill off yours and then I can toss some back at you?
Yeah. So the Laputa city is based off of Gulliver's Travels, which is actually referenced in
the subbed, but not in the dubbed.
Not in the dubbed. That's right.
All references to Gulliver's Travels and Treasure Island were removed from the dubbed, which I'm guessing is for copyright issues.
I think surely not. They've got to be public
domain. Yeah,
public domain.
Maybe they just didn't want to veer credit to anything outside of the film. They were just like, "Hey,
maybe I don't know.
Praise this film. Don't praise any other form of media."
Bit of a Disney vibe, but okay. You did mention before Miyazaki taking photos of things in his travels. Not taking photos, making paintings, that kind of thing. Getting inspiration from his travels. The mining town was based off of a Welsh mining town. A Welsh mining town.
I genuinely didn't know
Miyazaki
that.
visited during a time that I've forgotten.
I sounded so convincing when I said that. I genuinely did not know this.
I did not know that. I am not reading off of the same notes sheet as you. But that was really cool. It did definitely feel familiar and pretty realistic, but still a bit fantastical. Probably just because I haven't been to Wales. That might make sense.
Maybe
I
they
was
are
not
rather
around.
fantastical.
Yeah, I guess so. What do you have, big man?
So I've got for you wouldn't know this because you listened to you watched the subbed version. I watched the dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy who played the General Moro, ? He is voiced by Jim Cummings. Now, does that name ring a bell for you at all?
Yes, I don't know what he does, but I've heard the name before.
He voices Razul and Farouk in Aladdin. He voices an announcer in Toy Story. He's voiced a couple of characters in Pocahontas. He's gone on to do a very illustrious voice acting career, and this was his very first debut in a film for voice acting.
Oh, wow. So was Aladdin his really big one, or?
Yeah, I guess so. Aladdin was kind of like his big wham bam, thank you ma'am, takeoff.
Big main character moment.
Correct. And then he's in Atlantis Lost Empire. He is legitimately Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, which is probably what he's most known for.
Okay.
He's done just...
Why didn't you open with that one? That's a much better one.
Well, he was first in Aladdin as Razil and Farouk, and then obviously went on to then establish the character of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger.
Okay.
He's just done pretty much everything and anything for Disney in terms of side characters. You will know his voice just from... You'll hear the voice and then you'll go, where? I've heard that before. I don't know where, but I've heard it before. He has...
Is he the guy that plays the piggy bank in Toy Story?
No.
Or is that a different dude? He does a lot of stuff as well. I know about that one.
Disney seem to have a very tight-knit group of characters where they go, there's this character that's in about 3 shots and we need him voiced. Let's just call in Jim Cummings or the dude who voiced the piggy bank in Toy Story.
Oh, okay, I see.
And they just, they just fill in the gaps because they're good at what they do. Jim Cummings has also gone on to do a lot of stuff for video games. In particular, what I would most know him for, in the Kingdom Hearts series.
Oh.
He voices Pete, Winnie the Pooh, and Tigger.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite game series of all time. If you haven't played it, go play it.
Also has a lot of Disney content in there.
Also has a lot of
that's
Disney
your
content, so if you like Disney, then go for that. But he's done a lot of voice acting stuff, so it was really cool to see him before he got big, I guess. To see him do something Studio Ghibli-esque, and of course Mark Hamill, both very interesting. Hironobu Sakaguchi, who was one of the creators of the Final Fantasy franchise, cited Laputa, Castle in the Sky, as a form of inspiration, especially for Final Fantasy VII, which makes total sense with the amount of airship designs and stuff that go on in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of a mainstay
and the
with Final Fantasy
steampunky vibe of Final Fantasy VII. That's very obvious. Obviously, this film was a big milestone for steampunk and just the pop culture and the culture of steampunk.
Yeah.
BioShock Infinite was another game that cited Laputa.
Oh, really?
For
okay,
reference.
that makes sense.
Given that BioShock Infinite is a game set pretty much all in the sky. Do you ever go down to the ground in BioShock Infinite? I don't think you do.
You start
on
at
the ground, yeah, in
There's
the
the whole
boat,
lighthouse
right?
thing.
Yeah.
But that's it.
But then the rest of it's in the sky. Again, makes sense.
Airship time.
Atlantis of the Lost Empire, Wall-E, and Up also cited Laputa, Castle in the Sky as a source of inspiration. Wall-E and Up are two films that are on the top 250, so they will rear their gorgeous head once more. Atlantis, the Lost Empire is not, and I think that's a damn shame because my sister, my father, and I thoroughly enjoy that movie. And this film has a lot, there's one bit in Atlantis, the Lost Empire that it's such a dead ringer for the scene where all of the military are rampaging and pillaging through Laputa. There's a scene that's pretty much the mirror of that in Atlantis, the Lost Empire, and I wrote it down. I was just like, it's so Atlantis. You can totally see the inspiration. Laputa, Castle in the Sky is also the source of one of the most tweeted moments in history. When the film...
Wait.
What? Let me explain.
Continue.
Let me explain. Let me elaborate.
Yeah.
It was the screening of the film in 2013, I do believe it was, in theatres. And everyone tweeted Balus at the same moment that Patsu and Shita say Balus. And I believe it was tweeted about 140,000 tweets within about the span of 5 seconds.
Wow.
So that was the most tweets in relation to one moment in Twitter's history. Pretty neat. And then, obviously, all of the references to Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels and Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island are scattered throughout the film.
So we both wanted to talk about influences. I mentioned this to you. Unfortunately, all I had written down was Legend of Zelda. Apparently, the Breath of the Wild and also, I believe, Twilight Princess have the same kind of vibe of this ruined civilization with robots that have kind of become part of the countryside and then rise up when the kind of technology of the old civilization gets not reinstated, but you know what I mean? Revived. And also that one scene in Nichijou where it's an opening bit and they're on an airship.
Are you literally going to try and reference every single film in the top 250 to Nichijou?
Look, maybe. I wasn't trying. This came to my head completely unbidden. The opening scene where she's looking out the window. It's just like one scene in Nichijou. I promise you. So yeah,
that's pretty good. It's obviously, I mean, from everything that we just stated, this film is left its mark in pop culture, in steampunk, in obviously a massive influence on video games. It's quite prolific, which I think is fantastic, and it's good to see where some of the sources of the inspiration came from. I think that's really neat, and that seems to be at the moment a very recurring theme with the top 250 is that there's films that lay the groundwork for other masterpieces
and cultural trendsetters,
other inspirations, which I think is really kind of gorgeous. Like Infernal Affairs was almost the predecessor to Martin Scorsese's The Departed. Pretty much takes the similar version of the screenplay and then reboots it into a more English setting. And then, this film paving the way for steampunk culture and numerous other art forms. So, yeah, this is a good movie. It's really
cool. It's one of those things where I had this with a couple of things where you kind of watch something, you're like, that's a bit stereotypical, and then you realize
this is the one that made the stereotype.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
This is where that theme came from, which is quite cool.
Oh, another tidbit. I watched this on the 6th of January. The 5th of January was Hayao Miyazaki's birthday. So,
happy birthday, bud.
Miyazaki.
Love you.
Yeah, keep on fighting the good fight.
So we might wrap it up. Just first and foremost, we have had a couple of viewers ask about films that might drop out of the top 250 as it kind of changes. Rest assured, we're working on a static version of the list from the start of the year. So I think we might try and make it publicly available on our socials so you can kind of see where we're going, what's coming up. If you want to pick out a film that you know pretty well and you want to hear about it, then you'll be able to do that. We also have our social media more or less set up. So we are 250 pod, all English words with no spaces in between them. TwoFiveOh, We're currently on Twitter and Instagram. We have email. If you want to
write us a hate letter for our opinions
if you want to abuse
films.
me for the dumb shit that I say, then that's where to find me. Hit straight into the spam filter. Hell yeah.
Filter all words that include, all emails that include fuck and put them in spam.
If it's anything related to bricks or bank accounts, that is immediately removed. We also have personal letterboxd accounts. Mine is UUUPAH.
And mine is IENZO KNIGHT. That's Ienzo Knight. All lowercase, all one word. So at the moment, I've been typing up reviews for each of these films as we've been watching them. So if you'd like a more succinct, written out version of my opinions on these films, you can go and check them out there.
And if you want to see the half-assed additions to my list, go see my letterboxd because it is much lower effort than Douglas's. So yeah, we don't have a sign-off or anything,
No,
do
we don't really. We just kind of end it.